welcome back to the Word for the Valley podcast, and we've been listening to Pastor Mike teach in depth through the book of Matthew. And as Jesus begins healing the crowds, word spreads fast. Every kind of sickness, every kind of affliction, and he heals them all. It's powerful, it's compassionate, and it's deeply prophetic. Matthew ties it back to Isaiah, where it says, "He took our infirmities and bore our sicknesses." But what does that mean for us now? Well, Pastor Mike addresses what some would claim as universal healing for anyone, anytime, if we just believe right, or pray right, or give right. Let's listen in as Pastor Mike picks back up at chapter 8, verse 10.
But when Jesus heard it, he says, he marveled and said to those who followed, "Assuredly I say to you, I have not found such great faith, not even in Israel." Now there are two times where Jesus marvels over somebody's faith. Here, it's a centurion, a Gentile, a Roman soldier. And then in Mark chapter 6, it's over the unbelief of those from Nazareth who would not listen to what Jesus had to say, and he marveled at their lack of faith, their unbelief, right? Both times, it's in direct correlation to Jesus himself. That is what the marveling is. Because in their faith, here for the centurion, in his faith, he's recognizing something about Jesus that nobody else seems to get. He understands something about Jesus that even the Jews don't seem to understand. That this power could not come from God without a true submission and surrender to the will of God. It could not come, right? The centurion realizes it. The Jews, because of their theology and the way they would have turned this thing into something else, they miss it. And this man should be teaching them, and us, what it means to have faith, right? He does not have faith, by the way, that he's going to get what he wants. His faith is primarily in the person of Jesus Christ, who can give him whatever he, Jesus, wants, right? Again, you've heard me say this before. I think it's a C.C. Winan song. I listened to it a couple times. I liked it the first time or two. I listened to it, then I actually paid attention to the words. And like the whole thing, like, we believe for it, we believe for it. They repeat the line over and over again. We believe for it. Like, this is heresy. It's nonsense. We believe for what? Whatever I want? I believe that I'm going to get a Maserati. How dumb. God knows that I would not do good with a Maserati. Would not be a benefit to probably even me for very long, right? Not even to speak of the insurance. I don't know that I could afford even that kind of thing. So despite all my prayers and best wishes, I have not yet gotten a Maserati. And God knows for it. I'm glad for it, right? I'm glad he doesn't give me the things that I demand when I have no idea what I'm asking for, right? We're childs, right? We're children. Like, we need our dad to tell us, this is good for you, this is not, right? It's fine. This man humbles himself to Jesus. We know you can. Is this what you want to do, right? And I'm telling you, he's making it as easy for Jesus as possible, right? No trips, no burdens, no responsibility. You don't even have to walk the rest of the way to get all the way to my house. You can just pray, and God will take care of this. And you trust him. And Jesus says, I have not found this kind of faith, certainly not even in Israel. Now he uses this as a teaching point in verse 11, and I say to you that many will come from east and west and sit down with Abraham. Apparently that means that they've been sitting, Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, right? We just made it through Revelation 20 on Wednesday night. So Revelation 19 the week before, the marriage supper of the Lamb. Listen, I do hope there's a little time for a meet and greet, because it will be pretty awesome to be able to go around the table. You know, like, you'll know which one Abraham is by like the masses of people that want to be around Abraham, right? But how about the martyrs? Well, like John Huss and Wycliffe and Zwingli, right? Rogerses that were burned at the stake, and people from history that have stood. What about that little Afghani boy? and just yielded up his life to Jesus Christ. Right? We're on the table. Tell a story. Right? No, and they'll ask us as Americans, you tell your story. I don't have a story. I lived in America. It was way too easy here, kind of thing. I don't have a story. You tell your story. I will just listen, kind of thing. But that we will be invited to sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Listen, if Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob came back from the dead, came into this room, there wouldn't be enough place for us to even come in and sit down. Right? And then we'd have to decide who actually gets the places, and probably the important people would get those places. Right? Joe Schmo and Sally Sue or whoever, I don't know what your name is, kind of, but none of us would get a place. We wouldn't sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But faith brings us to a level ground. Because again, it's not in the quality or the character of the person as much as it's in their relationship with Jesus Christ and their understanding of faith in Jesus. Again, we're not worthy because of ourselves. We're worthy because of him. He makes us worthy. Right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven, but the sons of the kingdom who think they're worthy merely by being Jews will be cast out into outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So then Jesus said to the centurion, now to his representatives, go your way, as you have believed, so let it be done for you. Not everybody gets that answer, but the centurion, as a response to his faith, where he's standing and understanding of the Lord, he can receive that answer. As you have believed, so let it be done for you. This is not a name it and claim it verse. Please do not do that to me. Right? Not everybody gets to believe and then gets it done for them. Right? But this man, his heart is in the right place. His faith is in the right place. So his servant was healed that same hour. Verse 14, now, when Jesus had come into Peter's house, this is on the Sabbath, we're told in Mark chapter 1. Jesus came into Peter's house. He saw his wife's mother. Now, this is Peter's wife's mother, Peter's mother-in-law, lying sick with a fever. Lying there is the same word that we had back in verse 6. It literally means to be struck and held down by the illness. She's lying there, sick with a, Mark says, great fever. Now, let me just make this point. I'm trying not to pick, but just take it for what it is, okay? Peter had a mother-in-law. The first pope had a wife. Just do with that as you wish. Now you can tell that Peter's beginning to be sanctified because he asks for the mother-in-law to be healed. That's maybe the more amazing part in this whole thing. The mother-in-law's living in his house. Probably asking Mrs. Peter, so when does she go home? She could go home today, Jesus. Just take her home. But instead they come and they ask Jesus to restore her. It says in Luke that they made request of him concerning her. Right? And this is just life. This is just, Jesus has done the day at the synagogue. He comes back. They come back into Peter's house. Hey, what's for dinner? Nothing. We've been taking care of mom all afternoon. Yeah, I'm hungry. Well, go make yourself a bologna sandwich or something. Not, they're Jewish, probably not bologna, but, you know. Mom's sick. It doesn't look good. I don't know that she's going to make it. Jesus, you got anything for this? Is there anything that you would like to do here in this situation? He's like, sure. Almost you get the same impression there in verse 7. I'll come and do that. Sure. Right? Sometimes people, I think, make a much bigger deal out of this than needs to be. And they portray Christ's healings as if it's his way of verifying his own ministry. I don't believe that at all. By the way, I heard a song on the way to church this morning that actually said, it's a worship song, in the line of the worship song, we are looking for signs and wonders. In the worship song I heard on the way to church this morning. We're praying and we're looking for revival. We're looking for signs and wonders. I'm like, that was just flashing lights, danger, warning signs all over the place. The Antichrist is set up for that, right? We don't know what Jesus is going to do, right? Jesus, what would you like to do? Let me see her. Take me into her room. So he went in verse 15, without seemingly, apparently, a lot of deliberation. We're not given any really more detail in Mark or in Luke. He went in, touched her hand, and the fever left her. You know, he probably just gets down there. Oh, Peter's wife's mom. I don't know what her name, like Mrs. whatever. I know it's been a rough day. Hey, would you like to get up now? Would you like to get up now? Come on, honey. Come on. It's not time yet. You're not done yet. Would you get up? And the fever left her, and she arose. Now, the last time you had like a really severe fever, the moment it broke, you might have known it, right? Sometimes when a fever breaks, you can almost tell. Wow, just, right? Fever breaks. But do you want to get up and do a song and dance right away? Probably not. And the last thing you're thinking about is that I want to get up and make food for everybody else. They should be bringing her sandwiches, right? The fever's gone. She feels better. Her first response, which indicates the humility of her position, is the very first thing she does is she gets up and serves them, which is probably the reason, the indicator as to why Jesus healed her in the first place, because he knew that she would respond that way. She doesn't take her health and use it to destroy herself. She takes her health and uses it to bless others, which is why God heals us as well. Now, verse 16, when evening had come, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with a word and healed, look, all who were sick. Mark tells us that the Sabbath is over when the sun goes down. Now we're moving into, in the Jewish economy, we're moving into Sunday, which is their first day of the week. Now the crowds start to come, right? And people are coming. They're bringing everybody that they can think of that's got a problem, demon possession, illness, whatever it is. And he literally is walking through the crowds, working through the multitudes, the groups, and healing every single one. Now listen, this is when I know that somebody's got a healing ministry. When all of a sudden, Evan shuts down for 2 days because somebody got in who made all of the illnesses go away. That's a healing ministry. That's viable. It's what Jesus is doing here. Now the reason it says in verse 17 that it might be fulfilled, Matthew makes note of these fulfillments of the Old Testament scriptures, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, he himself took our infirmities and bore our sicknesses. Now, again, to me, it's very sad. We see this in Peter as well when he mentions this verse. It's very sad when you get like an Andrew Womack or some of these popular teachers now that want to take this verse and use it as a license for universal healing, as a license for name it and claim it kind of theology. When it doesn't say that. It just happens to say within 2 verses that he healed everybody, and the reason why he did it, or the thing that he's fulfilling in doing it, is taking our infirmities and bearing our sicknesses. And people want to take kind of the way those 2 verses are put together, they want to take it as a kind of like a license for every illness and every disease and every sickness. If we just believed the right way, if we just understood the right things about Jesus, if we prayed the right way, if we said the right prayers, if we gave the right stuff and did the right things, then all of a sudden, then we would get all of the blessings and healings that we're looking for too, which is deception. It's a lie, right? Be careful of anybody that turns your faith in Jesus Christ as a means for your own gain, right? If you think in some ways that by following Jesus, that it's going to make everything in your life better, you're incredibly mistaken. His promise is for us that we would have everlasting life, right? But there have been believers throughout the last 2,000 years of church history that as a result of following Jesus have only faced martyrdom. And they are exalted for it, not reduced because they didn't have enough faith to stand in that situation and see the enemy leave. Don't do that, right? Don't do that. Hebrews chapter 11, the world was not worthy of them. The world was not worthy of them, right? But here, it is interesting, the way that Jesus kind of lays this out for us, or God lays it out for us here through Matthew. He himself took our infirmities and bore our sicknesses. I do believe that it is important to realize that every healing comes at a price. That there is something that has to be paid. There is something that has to be learned. There is something that has to be done for this thing to be executed, for this thing to be enacted in this way. Sometimes we can take, and we just do, a lot for granted. We take a lot for granted. And we think that's, like for some reason or another, Americans believe they deserve universal health care. Like that's a dessert. Like we deserve that. And you're like, you do realize everybody in the third world, they're fortunate if they have any health care, right? Like you just realize not everybody lives with a silver spoon, right? So careful, right? And we believe that our doctors should be perfect. Now, there's a reason why, I feel bad even making mention of the joke, right? There's a reason why you call a doctor's efforts a practice, right? Because no doctor has it all the way down. Now, I've met some doctors, they do think they are God, but they are in fact not. The better doctors I've ever met have some measure of humility. Now, they've gotten a great degree of education, schooling, they've done a lot of work, right? It's a little unnerving. I'm only 46. It's a little unnerving. If I go to a place now, and Dr. So-and-so is going to see you, and he looks like my child, you haven't practiced very long, have you? I feel like you're practicing on me. You're just, hey, let's try that. That's the last thing you want to hear from a doctor. Let's try this. I don't want to try nothing. I want to do what is actually going to help. I want to try it and try this. Well, just try this. You don't know either. It's obvious. You don't know what's going on happening either. So try this. Right? But the doctor has to go through significant schooling. Right? Evan is starting to do some preparation for his MCATs. Right? There's additional study he has to do on top of his studies, which I wouldn't want to study, right? Like second biochem, biology's bad. Chemistry's worse. Put biology and chemistry together and then put a 2 behind it. Makes me want to run for the hills. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Biochem 2. Like how did they come up with more stuff in biochem? I don't know. Nobody understood biochem 1. Why are you biochem 2, right, kind of thing, and just all this stuff, right? And to study and to learn and the time and the energy and the effort and the discipline that goes into doing this, the hours, the time, the energy, the care, hopefully, some care. Hopefully those doctors that don't care get weeded out, right? But by the time that doctor's sitting in front of you, he's paid a price. He's paid a price to issue you a response to your calamity, to your situation, to your disease. His price is years and years of education. His price is the sacrifice of time. Now, his reward is usually the money, right? So he's getting compensated, so don't feel too bad for him. But he did pay a price to get that. And the thing that is somewhat being communicated to us here, kind of the overarching idea in this that we just need to be aware of as Jesus deals with these situations is that he had to pay a price for these things to be dealt with as well. That these are not just flippant, casual, unconcerned, unhindered kind of response. Well, yes, of course, I'll do that. Oh, yes, eat a hamburger, eat a cheese. Again, they're Jewish, not allowed to do that. But I'm going to just go do this and do it. Like it doesn't matter to him. If somebody comes in front of him with an illness that requires any type of healing, if he has not previously paid the price to earn the healing, it will be impossible for him to grant the healing. If he doesn't have it, he can't give it. None of us give what we don't have. He had to get it. Where does he get it? He gets it ultimately in his relationship with God. That will ultimately, his truest and highest form of surrender, will be demonstrated through his going to the cross. In some ways, every healing we request has a measure of blood attached to it. A sacrifice given to it. A price paid for it. And remarkably, he's glad to do it. In some ways, he's already offered the payment. Just kind of ready and waiting for us to bring the request. There's no trip. It's not putting a trip on anybody here. Hey, you need to respect me more. You need to do... No, it's none of that. It's a lot of freedom, a lot of grace, a lot of compassion, a lot of mercy. But do not miss the fact that there is also a price attached. The price is not on our end. The price is on his end. He's the one who does the homework to be able to come and offer the solution. Right? That's why we come humbly. That's why we come throwing ourselves onto his mercy. Not threatening and or making demands, right? That somehow we're going to use God to promote ourselves. That's the thing you hear so often. Well, Jesus had authority, he grants authority, therefore you have authority. Like, that's nonsense. You're jumping to conclusions that the Bible doesn't give to us. And somehow or another it makes you the hero of the story, which is usually what we're trying to do. Listen, Jesus is the hero to the story. He's the only one who paid the price. He's the only one who does what is necessary for the benefit to be offered to others. And this is how he meets us. All right? So as you come today, we're going to sing this final song here together, but as you come to this today, and you're processing through kind of whatever request you're making of God, right? Do it with the cross in mind. Do it with the Father in mind. Do it understanding the price that has been paid and the sacrifice that's been made so you can even make that request at all. And come with humility and grace and thankfulness.
All right, we learned that we should be cautious of anyone that tries to turn our faith in Jesus Christ as a means for our own gain. True faith doesn't manipulate or make demands of God, it submits to Him. For more teaching from Pastor Mike, visit our website at calvaryfellowshipsv.org. There you can download the app and find a complete verse-by-verse teaching through the Bible and in-depth studies through the Old and New Testament. All right, that's all for now. Thanks for listening to the Word for the Valley podcast. So long, everyone.